Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Estonian Football Podcast, the weekly Kickaround match week 4. Giants fall and leaders rise, shall we say. Martin, welcome back. How you doing?
I'm very good. I mean, what a week! It's been so many surprises, and little bit maybe sad that maybe we have like a one team, a little bit ahead already, but the gap is not too big. But yeah, we can talk about everything on this episode.
Yeah, we'll start. So we picked our game of the day, which was Levadia game of the day. Sorry, game of the week. Sorry, which is Levadia versus Nottingham United, which ended 1-1 actually. Big surprise. Levadia went in, you would say, heavy favourites. What did you think of the game, Martin?
Well, I think Levadia was still very dominant. Was still very dominant. I mean, they controlled the game up until the red card. Obviously, they were in more control. Um, for me, yeah, obviously, when we tried to pick those game of the weeks, then uh, we were a little bit debating behind the scenes. For me, it was Levadia because just at home, of course, Nîmes United play their home games. I think there as well. But still, Levadia is a big force, and the quality difference is so big compared to, for example, Flora, which like they have already been struggling at the start of the season. So maybe the loss against Tammeka is not that big of a surprise. But yeah, I think Levadia. I think they don't have that many problems that, for example, Paide or Flora has. They still play good football. They still create a lot of chances. But yeah, I don't want to be that guy who says that yeah, I mean they shouldn't be worried and it's just one of those games. But I think this was one of those games where I think play again and they probably will be comfortably winning. But we have to give credit to them United. They fought well. Obviously, I know as a player as well, if you're playing with one man extra and you still can't keep the win, then it's frustrating. Uh, but yeah, I mean, what a result for them United.
What would you say this does early days for the relegation battle? Nottingham United now on 4 points. They had that big win against Vatpras 7-1, unlucky against Temeka, and now just picked up a point against Levadia. For the relegation battle, I say we're very early into the season, but is that a positive outlook for the rest of the season?
I mean that's not a like a it's not a cliche thing that we say that smaller teams they need to start off well, to get some momentum. And if you think about Nîmes United and the first game they lost against Flora, like I mean, Flora was very dominant. They lost 3-0 to Flora. Uh, but after that, they've been hustling and they're getting the results. And I think the 7-1 against Uppers, this was not just a win. This was a like it gave them so much confidence. Like you can see that actually, because I think also versus Tammeka they played well. Nîmes United obviously, sorry, against Levadia they also were like in the game and very close to winning it at the end. Um, but I think it's yeah. If you just look at the table, I mean that's so for me that's so fascinating, and I think it's so many surprises, and it keeps us like as a neutral as well. Like, it keeps us like more focused and it's like more entertaining to watch, and not that we have like those top four teams winning comfortably. And I think it's very nice to see actually.
One of the things I took from the game was just how wasteful Levadia were. If you look at the Nottingham United goalkeeper, didn't really have much to do. I think he made maybe 2 saves or something like that, and they were very, very simple saves. Is that mainly kind of how Nottingham United would set up and it would restrict those kind of, I don't know, say clear cut chances?
I mean, you say that, but there's so many occasions where Nîmes United tried to build up and lost the ball, and then Levadia just in front of the goal just put it over the bar. So it should have been like let's like on a better day, it should have been easy goals for Levadia. But I do agree they wasting so many chances. And the way Kalju, for example, the way Kalju is clinical, because Kalju, they don't have, I think Levadia create more, but Kalju, they are more clinical, like they've been so far. So yeah, just to keep up with Kalju, not to get this, point difference like bigger, then I think Levadia, they need to, either in training, they need to focus more on finishing, to do more drills to get their confidence up. But yeah, they need to be more clinical for sure.
Do you think they'll release another statement about referees because they received a red card, or do you think they'll let this one slide?
I I think they let this one slide. This was I don't know. This is there's been like a hot topic, but the classic thing we have in Estonia is that there's some kind of scandal, like if you can call it a scandal, and then we have some one or two articles about it, and everybody forgets it. Like to be honest, I already forgot about it before you said it right now. So that's true. I mean, that's the way our football works. Like no one really cares after like a couple of days.
Yeah, I forgot about it as well, actually. So it was nice you brought it up. So Levadia are still third in the table, but like you said earlier, Martin, there's now that gap. They're now 4 points behind. So we're only 4 games in, so it's not worth talking about. But it's not the start they would have wanted, is it?
No, but okay. Just if you look at the next few games, I mean, just okay against the uppers, they are big favorites. I don't see a 0-0 draw that we had a couple of years ago. Like that every game between them was 0-0. But then after that, Nõmme Kalju away, that's a big game, and then Flora. So they have Kalju and Flora coming back to back. So I think this is like the stage where like this is Levadia's chance, obviously, to get the gap closer and to break more free from Flora, which is like the difference is already crazy.
Yeah, it's 5 points between the two now. Let's talk about Flora. Obviously, I don't want to. I'll say the word crisis. They've lost 3 games in a row now, which we did have a look, didn't we? We don't think that's ever happened. They've lost 3 games in a row. They did have a spell of not winning in 7, wasn't it? Back in
2009.
2009, when they had a poor spell. But yeah, 3 defeats in a row. I did call it last week, where the game against Temecula would be tough. So, but they do have a favourable game coming up midweek against Curacao. That's got to be a chance for them to build some confidence, right?
Yeah, I mean it should be. I mean, I will call it a crisis. You didn't want to maybe say it, but for me, this is a crisis. Let's be honest. Like former champion losing 3 games back to back as well. I mean, that's for me is a crisis, and I think I read it somewhere. I think one of the Estonian journalists said that brought up like a statistic that a champion has never lost fewer than 6 games or something. Mostly like, okay, Kalju was unbeaten one season, but roughly like 2 or 3, maybe 4 games. But Flora is already on the 3rd, so I mean, it's not a championship winning side. That's for sure. If you just look at the statistics, but I mean, if you just look at the way they played, then Kuraksin had he did score, which was offside. Then he like this crossbar at front of the goal, which also would have been like was amazing chance. So it's not like they were completely out of the game, but yeah, they're lacking this. I don't know. They're lacking quality in defense, in my opinion. But also, if you look at the attack, then I think they've scored like 4 goals in total. So it's like 1 goal per average per game, which is, I mean, and then the 3 of them came in the first game. So I mean, that's they've been struggling on the front end and in defense.
Would you say they've lost their aura? Back in the day, even just like last year, 2 years ago, people would be scared to play them. Sorry, but now it's when you come up against Flora, now you think, okay, I can take points against these. Do you feel like that's how teams will approach that now?
100%. I mean, just based on my own like its history, that if you look at the Flora's lineup back in the day, you checked it and you had Lilander, you had Tugias, you had Hussar, okay, also in midfield there was Vasile when he was still playing, but Poom, Mihailov was there, it was like it was much scarier. But just if you look at the defense, then but now if I go back to playing right now, I wouldn't be scared. Like just look at the names, then maybe like because they're getting called up to the national team, maybe like maybe a little bit too easy that compared to other players in the other teams. Then maybe we're thinking that okay, they're national team players, but they're just getting the call ups. It doesn't mean that they're essentially after the call up being a much better player. They're still trying to evolve. They're still young players, but yeah, as a name, they're not as big as they were before. So obviously, I would be. I don't think they would put like too much emphasis on the players that okay, just look at the lineups in dressing rooms. Okay, who are playing against? I don't think they're really focusing on it, especially the players. I know the coaches do watch the lineups, but yeah, just in general, I don't think it's yeah. The players have so much more confidence playing against this Flora defense than compared to last seasons.
Yeah. But take nothing away from Tanaka. They had in there. Say Flora dominated the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, Temeka 3 goals, well taken goals as well. Marin's goal was fantastic.
And Koskor is
In
now a
Koskor,
top goal
yeah,
scorer in the league. He has a
yeah,
very good start.
yeah.
I think he just needs. Sorry, I think he just needs 1 or 2 more goals, and he's got 100 in the Estonian division. But I'm not sure. Might be next week. Who knows?
Yeah,
Go Costco.
yeah. And he's probably had the least amount of touches in the league as well. What a player. Temeka actually have Narva on is it Tuesday?
Tuesday, I think. Yeah.
Tuesday?
Yeah.
Yeah, Tuesday.
Yeah.
They could really build on this, couldn't they? They could, this could be the year where they're actually living up to, they've got decent players. They've had decent players for years, Temeka, but it's just never really clicked. And if they could build on this, they've scored the third highest amount of goals this season as well so far. And it's nice to see Koska score. I think that was the problem last year as well, where Koska wasn't scoring goals. And as we said at the start of the season, Marin's going to be huge for him, and he has been. He's been fantastic. If he can stay fit, that's going to be, who knows, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, looking at Tameka's perspective, then it's a good chance for them against Narva. But at the same time, Narva played, in my eyes, really well against Nemagalia. They played really well, and but I was really a bit worried about Narva because the start of the season was not great. I mean, they lost to Harry, but then even the game against Vaprus, they were not like amazing, and they haven't played well. Like they haven't played convincingly. And so I was a little bit surprised that okay, maybe they haven't managed to bring the momentum back from last season, but the way that they performed against Kailio, even though they lost, I'm still gonna give a slight edge to Narva against Tammeka. For me, they're still the slight favorites. So it's quite an even game. But yeah, if you look at go back to Tammeka, if you look at the next games, then they have them after Narva, they have Paide, then they have Pärnu. So it's like they're games which is like maybe they're a little bit outsiders and then again favorites, and then like it's so and so. So it's I mean they're in good position for sure, and I think they're good position. But in generally, a lot of teams are struggling if you look at the table. So it like brings everybody to level stage.
So I think for Narva, their perspective as well, like we said about Flora, they're struggling to turn chances into goals. They will have spells in like every game they've played where they've had those opportunities, but they've just not been able to convert those chances. That's why they're in 8th place. They were unlucky to come away with a point against Paide. Vaprus, they had a nice win. They say Kalju, I think they played well as well. I agree with that. But then, as we spoke about at the start of the pod, Cal, you just have that clinical winning mentality at the moment. So, yeah, I think Nava as a whole, they're going to be okay. They'll start finding that rhythm. But yeah, at the moment, something's just not quite gelling.
But yeah.
I actually thought Parako played well as well. I thought he's had a shaky start this season for Nava, and I think there was a few bits in there where I felt like there were some balls that he come rushing out to a bit mad, but he'll learn not to do that. But I thought he played better this week. So who knows? But yeah, in Cal U as well, 100% record, 4 wins, 4 games. And they're having different goal scorers as well. It's not, I think a lot of people probably thought Manalan would, I suppose, be their Sappinen, I guess. But goals are being spread around for him, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, going back to Barreiro, then I think you can a little bit say maybe the lack of game time he had in Italy, but now he's been getting the minutes, and then game by game it's getting better. So I think it's very exciting to see how he progresses. But yeah, I mean, Kallio, they're playing well. Like I was actually impressed with them as well. Like the way they build up and this they have like a clear plan. Yeah, you can actually see like the system and the way it operates. And obviously there may be a couple of players which been like a surprise how great signings they've been. So it's very very surprising, but it works together, and they found a way. And yeah, that's why I'm very very excited. Soon that we have this Levadia versus Kallio to actually like proper test for Kallio. Oh, okay, Kallio played Flora, but Flora is not the Flora that should be. But Levadia is like the first peak test for me.
I kind of like think about this every season. Will a team go unbeaten throughout the whole 36 games? Do you think Cal you are capable of that this year? Early days?
I mean like it's really difficult. It's they are like, why not? I mean, maybe like looking back, they will be unbeaten and they will be like thinking, okay, the signs were there. Like, why wouldn't we see them? But you have to be like so good in defensively, and but Kalju, they're still conceding chances, like quite a lot of chances, but they're just being very clinical up front. And yeah, they've been getting many clean sheets, obviously, I know, but they're still like it's. I don't know. They don't. They. If I look at the way they play like they play like a championship winning team. That's for sure. They're playing very fluid football. But if I think about separately about the record, being unbeaten, then that's different way you have to think about how they play the games. And they just the defensively for me they're still there's some they're not as firm as maybe to go unbeaten, but they're good enough to be a champion. That's for sure.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, but the last time they won the league in 2018, they did it unbeaten.
I think so. Yeah, I think they did. They were unbeaten. Yeah.
So why not,
So
right?
that doesn't mean that the only time they're winning the leagues and they went there unbeaten.
It's written in the stars. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but yeah, I agree. They're playing well, and like what you said as well, you can see what they're trying to do, and it's working. And but difficult games coming up as well, so we'll see. They'll be tested. We can see where they are after that. Maybe at the end of April, when the table kind of mixes up a bit, we'll have a clearer picture of what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paida, everyone's favorite Paida. It's Kurasa. It was very, very ugly. I thought they actually got away with one there. I thought they were very lucky to come away with 3 points. I think a draw was on the cards there. I thought you in goal saved them as well. I just don't understand Pider at the start of the season. I feel like they're missing something, but I'm not sure what it is.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here and just quickly bring up VAR, goal line technology. I know that's not in Estonia, but I think that one that was ruled out for Kura, where it crossed the line, was a goal. I've watched it 100 times. Yeah, it was. I'm not sure what minute it was in. I didn't actually see the game. I just watched the highlights. But it was the one where I think it was Sinalade headed it. Jayu tipped it onto the crossbar, and then it bounced.
It was not
on the line.
It was not a goal. It was not a goal. Come on. Like if you wanna say it's a goal, you have to be 100% certain that. But we have this 5-pixel camera, then there's no way you can. Like,
I don't think the officials on the pitch could have said 100% for certain that it was a goal or not a goal. So it's difficult because obviously, as you say, it's 5-megapixel camera. But for me, I've watched it hundreds of times, and that's a goal. You can see when the ball bounces that it's like behind the line. So I think Kura were robbed in that game.
Just to counter what you said, it wasn't given as a goal, was it?
No.
So then they can't change their mind because, like you said, you can't 100% see it was in. I don't think it was. I think there's a little bit of the ball that was probably on the line. It doesn't also help that the camera's literally at a 45-degree angle on the line. Surely you should pull it across the line and you'll get a better view of it.
No, but I do. Let's be honest. Yeah, the ball did bounce. It seemed that the ball bounced behind the line, but we all know that the air lines matter as well. Like if it's behind the line, it can still be like not a goal.
You look how Jarju goes back when it bounces down and it goes behind the line. He reaches back into the goal to scoop it out. And then at that point, you can pause it and it's a goal. For me, if I was in the VAR room, I would have looked at matey boy next to me and I would have said, I'd give that. But
like, okay, you would give that. Okay, maybe you're right. The thing is, we don't know. But the thing is, if you can only give a goal if you know 100% that, listen, this is a goal. Like, it genuinely crossed the line. But because it's impossible to actually tell from this camera, then you can't actually give it a goal. That's our reality.
But isn't the rule of benefit of doubt goes to the attacker?
Yeah, but it wasn't given as a goal. If it was given, I think if the linesman puts his flag up and says it's a goal, and then they check it on VAR, I think it's still given as a goal because you can't clearly see if it is or isn't. But where it wasn't given as a goal, you can't just say, "Oh, I'll just give it for the hell of it."
This was not like a VAR thing. Like, VAR cannot do anything about it. Like, but yeah, I mean, it's just that's our reality. But listen, you score a normal goal, then we don't need to debate on this. Hit the net.
Either way, I think they were robbed. I think, but then they had chances in the game to score anyway. So, you can say like, okay, that should have counted. But they had, from what I've saw, they had 3 or 4 opportunities to score anyway.
Played well.
So I think they did play well. Yeah,
Kura played really well. They really went out and gave him a game. That's what I mean. I thought a draw would have been a fair result, and it wasn't. It was a defensive mistake that gave Pi the win. Essentially, the poor back pass to the keeper that was passed straight to Christopher Pitt, who squared it along. I was hoping he was going to dummy it so Sona would tap it in for fantasy points, but can't have it all. But other than that, I don't think Pi did anything. I don't think they they offered anything. If it wasn't for that, it
Yeah,
would have
maybe
been 0-0.
by that was a little bit rotating. It was good to see that Turri is back, but then he was subbed off early. And maybe like a knock. And then Anier was also not in the squad. So it's like they were, I don't know, maybe he was not even on the bench. So maybe maybe the trip to Kuressaare is just way too big. Way too long, man. But but uh but yeah, but I don't wanna sound like a bad guy, but for me it's so difficult to analyze games that are happening in this Kuressaare's turf because I don't I don't know if there's been any games in the history where you can see a beautiful football played there because the pitch is so tight, the wind is there, and it's just the game is just so ugly and they're just fighting and whoever fights more wins and it's you can't really analyze anything. It's just kick the ball up and just hope for the best pretty much. Like obviously there's tactics, but in general it's I don't want to say impossible, but it's just so difficult to actually play nice football there.
Do you think Kuressaare would be satisfied with how the season's gone so far, though? They've lost to Levadia, Kalju, Paide. So obviously they're three of the big four, but they've beat Temeka, who they'll look at that and think, okay, that's the team around us. We want to get points from them. Next up, they've got Flora, which on an average match week, we'd expect Flora to win. And then after that, they've got Harju, Narva, Vatprus, Noma United. So are they going to be looking at those games now as like, okay, we've not actually played bad this season, like overall. So like we've lost to the games we expect to lose, but now let's push on.
You can maybe see it. Okay, if I would be, I'm not saying I was that player. I was definitely not, but it, maybe there's some players who think that okay, I will look at the next fixtures. So we have I don't know game against those a big team, then another big team. Then okay, if we lose that, then let's just hopefully be in a position that if we lose those games, we are not far behind from others who maybe won some games. So looking from Kurasaare's perspective, they've now okay, they still have Flora, but if also not because the league is so tight, so it won't happen anyway. But they're now they will complete those big games, and they're still in the mix. They are not dropped off. They are still having the same number of points, or maybe one less than many other teams. So they are now in a great position, and that I think that's a good way to think that okay, we have lost games, which it's not like they don't even hope to win. Obviously, they hope to win, but they lost the games. But they're still in the mix. They're still neck and neck to with Flora, even with Vaprus, with other teams. So I think it's still a good position for them. But yeah, now I think now even with Flora starts like big, games which they have to get the points off because they had those big games, behind them, and then now it's time to start getting the points.
Talking of points, we've talked about crisis with Flora, Vaprus, who it seems like a crisis. They just lost to Harju 2-0, and I thought they were pretty bad. If I'm honest, I thought Harju were brilliant, dominated the game, and they've now won 3 out of their 4 Harju, as we spoke about earlier, but. Vaprus on the other end of the table have only won once, which was that magnificent game against Paide when they were 2-0 down and came back to win 3-2. And since then, it's not been great. They've conceded 13 goals already this season, which is, what's that, 3-point-something goals a game, if you want to do the maths. Are Vaprus in a crisis, Martin?
Yep. I mean, it's. I mean, for like, obviously the season is so young, but it's for me also the first game against Paide. Okay, they got. I think I even said it in the first episode that they got a lot of praise and they deserved it. They really deserved it because the way that they performed in the second half. But the game itself overall, the fluidity was not there. They did not play a good game. They did get the result, which obviously is the most important, but they did not play well. and I think that kind of like elevated to the next games as well. I think they haven't really played well in any of the games, in my opinion, apart from the cup game. But even there was Velko's momentum, like in second half. But yeah, I think they are. I think they're struggling. I don't know what's the reason. Obviously, if you look at the lineup, I didn't see Lepic there. Maybe he has a knock. I don't know. I know Bayo came back from an injury, but had to be subbed off with the same injury again with the ankle. Like you could see that he was pointing to the bench that he's having still problems with the ankle. And yeah, I don't know. It's they're not as fluid as they've been, and they need to somehow fix it.
So would you say there's like a lack of identity? We watched Vatpros of previous years. There was always this well-structured game plan and all of this stuff. But this year there doesn't seem to be anything. So do you feel like there's like a lack of identity, or like the players don't know what they're supposed to be doing, if that makes sense?
I mean, I don't think Battle lack identity. I think they know who they are. I think we all know who they are. They are the teams that they love to fight. They have the community behind them, and they have identity. I mean, just look at the side, but something is not clicking. And even I think Prince said in an interview after the game that yeah, it's they try to get things back, but it's not looking. The game is not looking pretty. But they're a little bit changed. I mean, now Kapper plays. I mean, he did play last season as well, but he plays more in midfield. Like I still believe that being a winger is his position, so he's like mixing things up. But I don't know. I don't know. Honestly, I'm confused. What's going on? I don't know what's the reasoning behind. Because even against Harju, okay, even I remember when I was there, we there were still most of the games we won against Harju, but we still lost. I remember, but we played well. Like we still dominated. We still were like we played good football, but now it's not the same. I don't know. Maybe Prince has been there so long. Maybe the ideas is maybe they need some fresh ideas. Let's hope Prince can find something new, something fresh. But yeah, they need to change something.
Yeah. Sorry. Breaking my own rules. Yeah, as I say, I thought Harju dominated them, and they created the better chances. They probably could have scored one or two more. I think there's only one chance I can think of off the top of my head that Vapris really had that looked like scoring from. I can't remember who it was, but it was basically just cross in front of goal and had a
Lindberg.
shot. Yeah, and Vinyl just saved it with his feet. It was straight at him. And that was the only thing I could think of. But it's goals as well. They're not scoring goals. It's say 3 goals against Paida was the bulk of them. I think they've scored 5 this season, haven't they? So they've scored 2 goals in the other 3 games. And in games where you look at where they probably could and should be winning, Norma United and Harju as well, especially. Yeah, it's not looking good, but like I say, we're early days. There's plenty of time, and I hope, for the sake of the league, that they can turn it around. I do like seeing Vapris in the Premier League. I'm sure they will. I think they will. But let's hope. Who they got this week? I can't remember who they've got. Levadia.
Levadia.
So a great way to bounce back. Get 3 points away to Levadia.
Then they've
so
got
we'll see.
Flora.
Lovely.
Big double
That's what you
header.
need.
Yeah.
Well, Flora would be.
Harju played really, really well. Like I'm very surprised, and maybe not. I say surprised, but just considering how they played this season, I think they played again another good game. And they have great signings. I think Leet as well. Obviously, for Kalju, he was struggling. He was not getting much game time because, like, with the ball, he's not a very technical player, but he plays his heart out. He fights a lot. He runs a lot. He's good in the air, and he's like a perfect player for Harju. And just if you look at the set pieces, I think Rudenka is he's a very good set piece taker, and the balls that he puts there, and I mean Laure is just like a joke, you know. It's difficult to mark him, and yeah, elite as well. Like I think they're very dangerous in set pieces as well, and that's like a key thing again winning, you know, those against smaller sides, because they had so many chances against Vapors as well in set pieces. Like they scored one in the corner, but yeah, they could have scored more.
Is it surprising to see, not say necessarily Harju in second, but to have the start they've had? Because I remember last year after 4 games they had won 2 and lost 2, so they almost similar. But this year I feel the performance is better. Like I'm watching Harju and I'm enjoying watching them play. So do you feel like now they've built, after the year back, they're going to build themselves into a solid mid-table side?
I mean, it's still early to say, but they have a new coach, Reitelina. He was a former Velko coach. I didn't play under him, but he's also like a coach who demands a lot, who loves to be like maybe more old school, I would say, would be very vocal, very demanding, but very like motivational, and to motivate players, maybe less tactical. I don't know. I'm just assuming from the outside. Obviously, I don't know. I haven't played with it, but he seems to be that guy. And it works with Harju. I think the players that he has, I think, works with his style of football, and yeah, he's been doing really, really well. I think he's maybe we're a little bit surprising that he was getting the job, you know, after Velko, but at the same time he made Velko better year after year. They progressed in the positions as well in the standings. And then he got a chance in the Prem, and I think he's doing well so far.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on. My favorite segment, Martin. Who's your player of the week?
Oh, I love those segments. I will pick a player who I've been actually very impressed by. I was surprising that he has been impacted, that he has been, you know, doing, and he suits well in Kalju's football. I think he suits well in, you know, in the style that playing, and as well because he did score his first Premier League goal, which is Sochugov. So I think because I think as well, like Kalju, Narva was playing well. They got the lead, and you could see that Kalju was still dominating, but they're trying to find a way to maybe unlock the gate, and then Sochugov with a little bit of a lucky bounce at first, but I think he did well. I think the whole game as well, he fought well. He was very, you know, active in the right flank, and he's very attacking. Like for example, compared to Kalev days, then he was. I mean, obviously, most of Kalev was you had to play without the ball, and then he was maybe getting you know, found out in defense maybe. But in Kalju's system, I think just all the support he has, you know, surround him. Then I think he's playing very, very good. So I will pick yeah, Sochigov for this week.
He also won the penalty as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so technically a goal and an assist
for fans.
Reece, who's yours?
I was a toss-up between 2, both Temeka players, but I went with Pavel Marin. I think not just this week, but all season he's been a really bright spark in the Temeka team. As we said at the season preview, that he's going to be a big signing for him, and he's showing that. 3 goals, scored a well-taken goal against Flora, good attacking threat constantly, and for me, yeah, his link up with Koskor is going to be vital for Temeka. If he stays fit, 10 goals, 10 assists, easy job.
And I went for Yayu for Paida. I think he kept them in the game. He made some vital saves. Without him, I think that it could have been a different result, especially the one at the end where he flicks it over. I felt it was top save. Loved it. Love it. Yeah. I say next week. It's actually in a couple of days. This week, Martin, what are you looking forward to?
I'm looking for the top of the league clash. Top of the league clash. Harry versus Nemagalia. I mean, I think it's interesting, and I like it that it's Harry's home game as well. And I think I think it's a great matchup because I think Harry they're now. I think that the confidence they have, they will be up for the game because obviously they have nothing to lose as well because they played so well that they have margin to lose. I mean that sounds you have to get as many points as possible, but they are in good position because for example Pärnu and Flora they cannot lose, and they need to start picking up points. So how do they have managed to get themselves off a good start, and Kalju as well, like how they are performing. They need to show, and obviously in Harju's home stadium, it's not an easy place to be. It's also a very tight stadium. It's not a very very big. So Levadia has been struggling there as well because it's difficult to unlock the defense. So yeah, I will be very very excited to see the matchup.
Yeah,
Reece, yeah.
I also went for top of the table clash. Harju Nomakaryu. I'm interested to see if Kalju does any kind of rotation with 3 games in a week. So I'm interested if there's any kind of rotation. I'm also to see if Harju can keep doing what they're doing. Can Kalju break down this difficult Harju defense? So for me, yeah, I think it's gonna be a hell of a game. I don't think it's gonna be as one-sided as maybe people would think. The English bookies have Kalju as just a clear favourite. So it's I'm excited. I think it's going to be a great game.
And I went for Narva Temeka actually. I say with Narva starting playing better, Temeka off the back of a decent win against Flora. They're now back-to-back wins Temeka as well. So can they keep it going? Or can Narva start getting some momentum and pushing on for the season? I think that'd be an interesting game. Maybe not a great tactical game. I think it'd be a nice scrappy affair, proper football that'd be, and I think it'd be a good one.
I think it will be a very close game. I really do. But I think but in general, if you look at the fixtures that is coming up, normally, I say normally, there's nothing normal in our league, but normally we should already know. For example, they're like a big team playing against a smaller team, and then obviously you have Narva Tammeka, which is like close. But this season, you never know. Flora is not the same. Paide is not as strong that we thought, and then Harju is playing so well. So it's difficult to predict anything.
Yeah, Harju in the Europa Conference League next season, going to some back arse end of Kazakhstan for some qualifying.
Why not?
And then the Kazakhstan team will come and play in Harju's stadium.
Yeah, with the fans, they're annoying fans. Oh, it'd be great. Why not?
Why not?
I think that wraps up match week 4. Say Giants falling and whatever. We'll be back again next time for match week 5, which hopefully more drama. I think there will be. There always is. It's never far away.
Goals that maybe are goals or maybe are not goals.
It was a goal.
Yeah. What refereeing drama is it going to be this week? But I don't think it was a goal. But anyway, yeah. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back next time. Cheers.
See you soon.
Cheers.